I would say so as well. It might just be that TNC need to adjust their strategy and say, look, obviously we want to take this tower right now, but we're not going to be able to. Let's just wait until Tiny has another couple of levels and might have that burst needed to kill the Tide Hunter in combination with a Quap ulti, let's say.
Yeah, I think SMG need. Well, I was gonna say I feel like they need some type of jump though, because I think you just pick a range share with tree, and it's like really easy to play.
That was a snap pick on the TA as well. Obviously feeling very comfortable with that. I feel like they've still got a decent amount of flexibility as to whether this TA is going to be position 1 or mid, and same sort of thing with the Queen of Pain. Could be mid or could be position 3 still. So TNC, they're in a pretty decent spot here in the draft phase, and they've also got that last pick overall. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they want to round things out, with SMG also most likely needing mid one's hero to be able to close things out. So we have to consider, what are they lacking right now on TNC that SMG might be able to exploit? They have decent catch once the Tiny has the Blink Dagger. Queen of Pain, of course, is able to jump in and do a lot of damage, but it's not really that stun, that burst that is able to follow up afterwards. So might be able to get away with more of the range style of hero that can, not allow someone to just be right on top of you. Could be like a Drow Ranger or something like that.
Yeah, I think if TNC are trying to pick a carry here, then they should pick a ranged core like Drow or
Luna's
Medusa.
Still in the pool as well, right? Lena incredibly strong at being able to push towers too.
Yeah, I think if they're picking an offlaner though, it's kind of just either they're gonna just pick to counter mid one's hero, so I can't say exactly what they should pick, but or they can just try and enable what they already have, like if you're trying to make TA stronger, maybe a Slardar. I mean, Zhao Yu's kind of he could probably play Viper again. Actually, he played it before into Tide, and it's like pretty good.
I think it just depends, right? They're just going to be getting rid of the big things that are going to stop their style, and obviously they think the Wraith King is going to be good at allowing them to have that little bit of a ghost push. If this TA is going to be now the position 1, they get rid of the Razor, but it feels like they're just banning some good overall heroes because, again, they have the last pick overall. They're going to be able to respond to it, and I feel like they're going to be able to be pretty confident with what they can look to counter this with. I mean, the Mars is gone, the Tide is gone, Beastmaster, Brewmaster, Pango, Razor, Nightstalker.
I mean, they want team fight, right? But they also, you don't have to always just go into hard team fight. You can just create like a bowl of heroes that are just too strong to fight into. So, like Queen of Pain and TA are really good at doing that. When TA has Deso and she gets her Aegis, because that's what she does. And then Queen of Pain is like really, really strong, especially like 20-minute mark is probably like TNC's timing right now without seeing their full lineup. Like I think it's really hard for SMG to play into that without Ravage. Maybe with Ravage it's like fine because they do have like a lot of burst in Lina and Lion.
They've only picked the Terrorblade once on SMG so far in the DPC, and I believe it was for a win. So it's one bonus. I was talking about it yesterday that the position 1s these days need to have a crazy amount of flexibility with the heroes that they can pick. You got to have that pocket strat still ready to bring out. And, well, the Terrorblade feels pretty solid so far against what TNC have here. And as well, with all of those offlane heroes that we mentioned before being banned out, I mean, the Slardar doesn't feel the greatest against the TB in the laning stage.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, so even later on, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. So the question now remains, what does TNC do to be able to combat this? I mean, it's a good reason for that Brewmaster ban for sure.
And Pango, yeah, really good bans. Mid one played TB in his last series against Execration. He had a flawless game and did not die once. Fun fact.
Yeah, and it's also not a hero that encourages diving.
All right,
it's
Dark's
also
here, Dark's here, Dark's here. Come on, Zhao Yu. Come on, Zhao Yu.
I was kind of thinking you're going to suggest the Darks here because later on, of course, very strong against the Terrorblade. I guess they've got the Lion though.
Yeah, but it's like what you're doing in that lane is like Tiny's just dragging waves over and over. You're not actually laning, so it's not like about trying to kill TB in lane. I mean, you can try because usually you just like pull and pull until you get levels, and then you dive them with like Glyph.
Do you think they need another stun of some sort though? Like, are they going to be able to burst this Terrorblade?
Let's go! I love Doxy so much!
It's the most energy I've ever seen you have.
I love Dox is one of my favorite heroes.
Yeah.
Whenever I see a Luna, a TV, whatever, I'm like, easy game, let's go. And I think like you pair it with a melee 4 like Tiny, like Nyx, like all these heroes. I love seeing like Tundra, they're a Darkseid team, so I love watching their games. You pair it with that, and yeah, it's great. So we'll probably see them like just playing behind the tower. Like Darkseer just hates laning. Usually you just mess up the lane as much as you can till you can dive. Then you take over the lane when you have like 4 points in Ion, and like the carry is just forced to jungle.
It's even a great way, well, not a great way, but it's extra magic damage that you might need to take out Raging Potato as well on that Tide Hunter. You know, he's not going to be able to block up a lot of that damage with the Iron Shell getting on top of him. And I was saying they might need a little bit of an extra stun, but you talk about late game, you talk about those team fights. Darkseer, probably one of the best offlaners in the entire game for that purpose. But for me, it still feels like a lot of this success is going to be on the back of Playhard's Tiny. We saw how successful he was with being able to break up these team fights, find one hero kind of off on their own, toss them back, like basically to be slaughtered by the rest of the team. So let's see if he's able to do it again.
I'm looking forward. You've got me hyped for this Darkseer pick. And maybe this is going to be TNC's chance to get another win on the board. But your casters for this game are going to be the kings of SEA themselves, MLP and John. Please take it away.
We are back for the SCA DPC Division 1, and it is MLP Dota and johnxfire. John Natty obviously just flattering us there with the introduction, but so how you doing?
Doing great, Mike. This should be an exciting match. You know, TNC has steadily improved. SMG, we heard it in the pregame interview. They were very confident about coming in here, and TNC, Young God, knows that confidence is one thing SMG has a ton of. So we'll see if they'll be able to punch down, as he said, kind of knock them off their pedestal and prove a point here. Again, TNC has been slowly improving. I love this draft coming out from TNC. So much excitement over the Darkseer. It's a Young God safe lane co-op, which we don't see too often in Southeast Asia. It has been popping off in other regions. So I'm keen to see what they do with that as well on TNC's end, giving Yoe that win condition with the TAA on the mid, and just kind of trying to snowball off from there. It gives TNC some good timings to play with, but you still can't underestimate SMG. This is a very clear-cut draft from them, you know, not very, and maybe not as explosive or as exciting and different as TNC's, but when SMG does play these more bog standard drafts, they tend to just focus on the fundamentals and really try to knock it out individually in an individual player wise focus there for them.
And look at this, John. I mean, Pythium, once again, giving us the goods, John, here. Shout out to Pythium, our observer, of course, giving us that beautiful showcase view of the map. You wouldn't stop talking, John, so I couldn't give him the shout out while he was doing it, but there you go, Pit. Thank you for that. I was about to test you with the introduction, but, you know, I trusted you, and he's delivered it again, John. He's delivered it again. Nevertheless, though, SMG in an interesting position on the left side of the map, already in that radiant triangle. Potentially a level 1 fight here against TNC, as Xiao Yu and Yoe are hanging around. Fu's going to try and move in, but it's like that is going to kind of give away the positioning of SMG, and well, TNC, they don't seem too interested in this level 1 team fight. Well, we'll see if they try to make the rotation later on, but it does seem like it's probably still going to be a 2-for-2 trade on those bounties.
TNC taking position on the right side of the map, looking to just secure themselves a 2-2. Level 1 fight for SMG is a lot better. They've got a lot of stuns, a lot of AoE to toss out, so I don't think it's a fight that TNC necessarily wants to force out, especially since most of that control coming out would be from play hard with either the Avalanche or Toss. So they're going to play it safe. They get a good D-ward as well on the Sentry, knowing that the movement's there. So they open up that small camp for Yo to farm down line for his mid matchup, just allowing that TA more resources to really snowball here.
And speaking of that mid matchup, John, you've got Yoe there against Moon, so the TA versus Lina matchup. I'd say it might be rather difficult here for Yoe, right? Even as the TA, sure, you can rely on that refraction to kind of give you that extra HP, or rather just armor, but well, Moon's just going to be able to whack away and eventually get those layers of refraction off. And speaking of, right now, top lane, Xiao Yu, he's the one in trouble, and he's going to drop straight off the bat. Fu able to pick up first blood and just immediately rotates down bot lane.
Nice sneaky tri-lane start for SMG. We've seen them do this a few times as well throughout multiple tournaments. This is something they love to do. Secure that first blood, get the momentum going for themselves, get that initial space out for mid 1, and just secure his lane. So a great movement out, already shutting down the Darkseer. Xiao Yu still in this lane, should still be fine. As mentioned by the panel, this should be a farming lane. Expect Playhard to maybe go for some pulls down the line and maybe leverage some of that magic damage as he just runs up to mid 1, getting a good amount off. So there's still some spacing mid 1 needs to do, especially when Metamorphosis is down. I think overall you'd be very happy for SMG's side if it does just go down to farming. Mid 1 might not be able to look for early laning kills with Roger, but you will still get that early start you want, and the Terrorblade kind of just ignoring the Darkseer to do his own thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Roger, he'll just hold them back. Mid 1, he should be just fine for now. As bot lane, well, Fu Getting dangerously low there on the line, but he is going to be able to salve himself up. In the meantime, though, Raging Potato is going to have to take a lot of damage here from Young God and Febby. He should be just fine to walk away as the Tide, though. John, talk to me about the bot lane, though. I mean, it's obviously a very difficult lane here for Arfu and Raging. I'd say that mostly due to the fact that they are up against that Treant, who is just hellish to go up against in that laning stage. Is there anything in particular they can do to just try and avoid this amount of damage? In fact, hold that thought. It's a very nice Earth Spike out from Arfu to halt the damage, but Young God's going to blink in and try to chase down Raging, but now the turnaround. Raging's going to try and go for the man fight. Febby, he does Fairy Fire up. Arfu's still going for it, but oh, what an Earth Spike out. He gets a self-cancellation blind. Oh, I don't know if I want to call that luck or skill, John, but Arfu, he's done something special there. And they do end up killing off Febby.
It's a good takedown. Wasting the resources of TNC, that's a lot of farm. Young God kind of ignored as well, jumping in very deep to try to look for that kill. And the aggression coming out from TNC is very well calculated, but you do have to still respect just how much durability Raging Potato has. The Anchor Smash removes a lot of Febby's right-click trade potential. Like, that's where the Treant really shines, right? He runs up, he gets you early Orb of Venom, slows you down, gets 95 damage per hit in. Tide kind of mitigates a lot of that. So as the lane goes on, this becomes much more manageable for Raging, and I think it's just patience. Like, at level 3, you should be fairly well protected here, especially from Febby. You still have to worry about the Quap. Young God is going for a more aggressive laning build, going for the Shadow Strike focus 2-1 right now. No points in Scream, as he's just focusing by slowly right-clicking the creep wave down. Not like a Tide can really stop that. So you do have to, again, just watch the Quap. Watch that movement in. As long as Raging has enough mana for the Anchor Smash and you do have a saving stun from off you can kind of fight back like that.
I mean, right now we need to keep eyes in the mid lane, John. You look at Yoe against Moon right now, and it's not looking like great news here for Yoe. I mean, he's got the Refraction up. He's got 4 stacks of the Absorb, but Moon's got that Light Strike array available. So if he does end up landing that stun, he might be able to get through the layers of Refraction and eventually just commit that level 2 Dragon Slave. And that should just be enough to get Yoe down. And that would be very detrimental to TNC here if they do lose this mid lane so early on. But Moon, we'll see if he can get it done. He just needs that stun to land, but looks like he won't bother trying. So Yoe, he'll be forced to walk away with no HP available, no bottle charges, but he does have a banner in to go back to. Meanwhile, top lane, a bit of damage output, but nothing to write home about. In fact, never mind, Roger, he's been tossed back here by Playhard. Maybe they can secure a kill here onto the Bane, but not without the Darkseer. Xiao Yu, in fact, never mind Xiao Yu, because Playhard, he's the one in trouble as mid one. He'll join in and get the job done.
Now, that's a pretty painful loss for TNC, because not only do they lose a hero, that was an Iron Shell on Xiao Yu. He doesn't use it in the creep wave, so he's just forced to run all the way back. No mana. Will have the TP back to base, though. And I guess one thing you get from that for TNC is that Playhard can rotate mid. So bottle topped up for Yoe, level 2 on Playhard. They could make a move, but you don't really have a good way of gap closing here. And that does force a response from SMG to bring Roger in as well.
It does. Of course, mid lane, Roger. He'll take that water that was available. Playhard, he'll miss out. Not too big of a deal, though. Just trying to deny it away from these mid laners as Yoe now going to cop so much damage in Arfu. He's trying to sneak up from the side with a very long-range Earth Spike, but he does not connect. But you've got to love that about Arfu, John. He always gives it a crack. Even if it looks way too out of range, he will try.
Yeah, he's always looking for that potential in mid, and he's still hanging around here, Mike Yoe.
I mean, why the hell not? Refraction's gone again. This time Earth Spike is going to land, and he's got the Hex follow-up, and that'll be Moon to take another kill, rather than the first one for himself. Zarfu making a great rotation over, and that'll be your mid lane just one now for Moon.
Yeah, he's got the CS lead, he's got a ton of denies. Yoe has been investing a lot in getting D-wards off from his supports to open up the small camp. He hasn't been really able to clear it out, or at least stack it up in between waves as well. There is a bit of movement out from Playhard. They do manage to find the Bane at the least. But that's the first kill for TNC on a support. SMG's managed to cut off a lot of heads. Their laning starts really good. You've got this really strong, almost a free lane for mid one, because it's what you expected. It's almost just going to be a farm trading lane. It's not really trading, though, with your Darkseer sitting at 11, so it's pretty much a free time for mid one to go into that Falcon Blade to secure himself the stats to start running.
Oh, Raging, he finally does end up going down at that bot lane, and I was about to say, it's about time Raging Potato went down. Just so much harassment being thrown his way this whole laning stage, and he's managed to survive long enough. To the point where he's gone to that level 4, almost level 5 mark, but they do finally punish him. Young God is able to now just freely farm up that bot lane on that Quap. Still, in we go again. Arfu now going to get caught out, but just TP. No way to cancel. In the meantime, top lane, they found Xiao Yu, and that'll be a Darkseer kill for mid one and Arfu. Another nice setup here from the line, and Arfu, he's just already doing such a spectacular job across the map, John. He's been involved in 4 out of the 5 kills already.
And it just reminds me of his Earthshaker plays, right? Like, it's the same timings. He goes into mid by 4 minutes. He sets up. He's always looking for a stun opportunity to block someone off. And they just build off of it really well in SMG. They just know each other's movement so well, know each other's timing so well, that they can bounce off it a lot easier. Whereas for TNC, again, there's that aspect of them not being together as long. They have improved in comms, but the execution is falling a bit flat. Like, the lane that's really hurting is Playhards. Playhard and Xiao Yu have just not been able to get off and pressure mid one as much as they'd want to. That's going to be slower timings for your Darkseer, a slower blink timing for Playhard, and it gets tough there.
They might move in again, Playhard. He's going to be alright this time around, but Roger might be able to set up with the Nightmare, but decides better of it. That Playhard still dancing around, but won't go too far. Just leave it be this time around as Arfu. He'll go back to stack for the team. Speaking of stacking, I expect many to be made here for our TA in the mid lane, though bot lane, Raging Potato. Gonna find himself in trouble again with the Sonic Wave out. That'll be more than enough from Young God. Another nice kill here for TNC. Another kill there for the Quap.
Yeah, nice clean kill for Young God, so he's also having a pretty swell time on the bot, having a bit more CS as well in comparison to mid one, but much less nice, not as important. So you can kind of start building up in the Quap. The early timings are lining up. Kai-san just going to be coming out. Issue is he's actually lagging behind CS. Sorry, I was staring at Yoe. So the kill does help accelerate. They are moving the numbers again onto Febby though.
Yeah, another nice setup by Arfu. That'll be Raging to take that one as Moon. Probably not going to be very happy about that. Febby, he'll have a quick disconnection to have a bit of a discussion with the team, Jonathan. Just ask what the hell's going on. Nevertheless, though, it's 3-6 now with a very slight net worth lead the way of SMG.
Yeah, it's a great start. I mean, your Terrorblade's pretty much enabled from lane. Your Linus also won out really hard, as you'd sort of expect, especially against the TA. Yoa still has a long way to go in getting his initial items up. You've got pretty heavy farm needed from TNC. Not really heavy, but more sensitive, timing-sensitive items, right? Like your Darkseer wants to have that mech up and running fast. Down the line, you'll need the Ags. Your Tiny Blink should be lined up by maybe 12 to 15 minutes, but it's a slow start for Playhard as well. So all of those items are necessary for TNC to kind of get that team fight in. And all of that is kind of stalled out just from how the lanes have gone. So I think TNC has to be ready to start securing their jungle a little bit more, start building up way more stacks here to set up. The side of SMG has been emphasizing those early jungles. Like, there's still some good blocks here on the triangle as well, just preventing any sort of build-up from Playhard. And again, every single stack you miss is more farm for Yoa, just not getting out there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You see Playhard trying to make some rotations mid, but isn't really going to be able to get much done. And Xiao Yu now being chased down by the reflection of mid one. Roger's going to cut. Oh, that's a great illusion block out from mid one. He blocks the pathing, so Xiao Yu has to walk the long way. But it won't matter because Roger was unable to get a Nightmare off. He ran out of mana, just barely. That'll cost them the kill here. Nevertheless, I mean, you've still got mid one free farming TB. And you've still got Moon top of the net worth board, so I'd say you can't really be upset if you're SMG.
You're still really happy. Like, you're just preventing TNC from working lanes out the way they want them to, and you're getting a lot of farm. They're making moves on Young God again.
They are. Young God, there's your Ravage out Raging. He will not play any games, and John, would you believe it? Arfu's here. Meanwhile, top lane, Febby, he does end up dropping a Roger. Xiao Yu trying to find a trade, but is unable to find anything on this Darkseer. As SMG continue to dominate across the map.
They're just working across every lane really well, getting all the kills they need. They do blow Ravage for that kill down bot. Very worthwhile to find Young God. Your Quap is still sort of struggling, and I don't really see much room for the Quap to farm. Like, the jungle's just shut down. They've had to invest so many sentries to open up the triangle. SMG's getting good work in now on the bot tower, trying to get a push in with Moon around. He's the main right click for the tower, so you are up against a Treant, but there's no points of living armor here, so there's no stall mechanic for that push anywhere.
Certainly not. I mean, Febby, he's going to try and lag it out, but there's only so much you can do as a Treant protector right now, and Well, there's really not too much he can do. As Roger top lane, not really much he can do either, as he does get taken out by the Iron Shell of Xiao Yu. Nice little pick up there from TNC, and they'll try to trade tier 1 towers, but I mean, quite frankly, John, they don't really have a great draft for pushing. And Raging on the Tide, he should be able to successfully just hold on this. Though Young God, he's going to try and move in and get some damage out. Play hard or move into boot. They'll go in with the Iron Shells and just try to burn him down slowly. They'll even drop the wall, and with the Sonic Wave, they'll have enough. Nobody rotating to help out poor old Raging Potato.
Nice pickoff coming out from TNC. Unfortunately, as you mentioned, Mike, very slow progress in the tower push, so I don't see them actually getting an objective off the back of that, while SMG just manages to play bot. Moon has a lot of farming space here in the jungle, lots of laning creeps as well, not much threat coming out from just the Treant to stop him. And TNC isn't really ready to punish that because they blew all their big ultimates up top. They're going to have to commit for that push, so they'll eventually get there. They've got the help of the siege creep.
Oh, Xiao Yu. Yeah. Unfortunate for Xiao Yu there, John. You've got to love what he was trying to do, but very unfortunate timing for him.
Sometimes it just doesn't line up. Looking for the deny. Good little kill coming out for Roger. That does buy the space out to clear the top tier 1. So map control is kind of even, but you do get a nice pickup on SMG. Scoreboard 5-9, less than 1k lead. So the cores are still relatively close to each other. Like Yoa, despite that slower start, is still getting the jungle opened up for him. Just have to watch SMG as they keeping up the space here.
Yeah, they've got a Fiend script, John. Roger, he'll move in and set up, and Young God just way out of position. Meanwhile, mid lane, Raging. He's going to be chased down. Ravager's out, though. They might go for a fight. Phil with a double Earth Spike again. They'll commit the overgrowth. They'll keep trying. Play hard. How deep can you go, Saw? He'll get fingered up. Raging, he'll finally end up dropping. Very messy, though, from TNC, to say the least. And in the end, I mean, you still got play hard first. I'm not sure if Raging really cares for that death.
It's a kill you'll take, because that actually does stop the push as well from TNC being a man down and all.
Maybe this time around it has gone too far as the trap. We'll slow him up, and Febby, he'll move in. You've still got help around.
Ooh.
Vacuum Wall is there. It's a decent one. Afu, he's trapped up a mid one. He'll rotate in as well. Maybe they do want the fight, but they want Febby first. They're not going to be able to find him. So Yoe, he'll move back in onto Moon. That's a lot of damage up on Moon. Has he gone too far? It does seem like he has, as TNC does take down the Lina. And with that, they might be able to slowly move into that mid-tier 1 tower. And this kind of draft that you are expecting to be rather aggressive is starting to make their moves. They even go for more now. Roger, he's been caught out on the Bane, but Arfu's there. Sonic Wave out is going to confirm the kill, but that's going to be enough. They'll take Roger. They'll go back to the mid-tier 1. You've got to be happy with that if you're TNC.
And it goes back to Raging Potato using the Ravage to stall out to find that kill and play hard. I think that's what made that engagement really open up there for TNC. There was no counter control from SMG. You could maybe line up a good Earth Spike from Afu, but your big AoEs really in the Ravage and just wasn't there. Great use of the Vac Wall from Xiao Yu to open that up. Tier 1 still stands, so I don't think SMG is going to mind all too much as long as their Terrorblade can keep farming up like this, and mid 1 still has really good control of his triangle. No vision there from TNC to really cancel out that farm. At the same time, TNC can kind of pull back, maybe wait for their own item timings here. Yoa is inching closer towards that Desolator as well. And once you do have that timing, you can take a fight and then even think about the Rosh next. Like, Roshan doesn't last too long with the Deso up on TA, and you can start running around, get a second life, and force more fights from that.
You absolutely can. Well, they're gone. Yeah, it's going to be Roger. Nice easy pick off there for play hard. The kill onto that Bane. Mind you, they are still yet to find that mid-tier 1 tower. For now, though, they found Raging Potato, but he's going to turn around back in onto play hard, just fighting over that power room, but it's an illusion. Moon already dropping so darn low, but he's going to be able to run his way out, and now the Ravage comes in, Raging. Laguna, Febby's already gone. Play hard, he'll be the second. Can they find more? They'll keep trying to go onto the Tide, but TNC's going to get double stunned up by Moon, and now Xiao Yu's going to drop. That'll be a third for Moon as a triple kill comes out. Oh, that is not what you wanted to see if you're a TNC fan. And that's generally what happens when you fight into high ground, John.
Now, it's a really clumped spot. Ravage was ready to go this time from Raging. The counter control was there. It was a good attempt with the wall, but didn't quite line up in the way they wanted to, and they didn't have vision up. Like they just lacked information in that area, very easily punished by SMG because of the high ground effect, as you mentioned, Mike. And TNC's got to maybe temper in some of that aggression. They are finding some momentum here and there. They're very even in the game, 10-14, with less than 1k gold going away of SMG, mainly on mid one. But you still haven't hit your item spikes. There's still no blink and play hard to gap close a little bit better. There's still no blink and Xiao Yu as well to get a bigger VAP wall. I think those are going to be key components for them to really follow through in these fights. Without that, you're mainly relying just running up with play hard, maybe finding someone who's out of position without that blink, or using Febby's overgrowth to get wide AoE control. And every single time these fights, if Febby's caught out, you lack the control. You don't have overgrowth. You don't even have the AoE slow of Nature's Grasp, and suddenly it becomes a lot harder to manage how SMG moves around these engagements.
That's certainly true, John. Still a very close matchup. I mean, less than 1k net worth lead for SMG. I mean, TNC still well and truly in a very even game here against this SMG side, as they found Arfu again. Roger's going to be right by him, but they'll smoke around the long way. Put around for a much bigger target, say mid one, but it's a bit further down the bot lane. Mid one. Oh, he stuck around a bit too long, I think, John. This might cost him, though he does have the Manta up, but I'm not sure if he's going to be that tanky with the Sonic Wave. No, the Sunder! It's going to make it in time. Overgrowth is not going to do enough. Turns out the Manta does tank him up enough, John. Mid one, he's fine.
Yeah, that's heavy commitment from TNC this time. 2 big ults down. No Overgrowth, no Sonic Wave. Your burst damage is kind of gone for the next ganks for a pretty long time. So I think TNC's got to kind of lay back and build up, which opens up a push for SMG mid if they want to kind of force this tower. Living armor is up, but it's not really that high level. It's still level 2. So you can kind of just force your bodies forward here.
Absolutely. You've got that Ravage available, so Raging, he can move in for the team on the front lines. And Xiao Yu, he might be spotted soon. Raging's looking for that angle. He doesn't have a blink, but he's almost baiting them, just inviting them forward. They'll try to blow him up in time. Now the Ravage comes out. He's got 5 targets with the Ravage. They'll blow up one in the form of Xiao Yu, but they're going to jump in with their Quap. But who do they get? It's going to be Arfu first for the side of SMG, but now Play Hard. He'll be chased down. In fact, never mind Play Hard. They want Young God, but they'll go back for the Tiny instead. That'll be Play Hard gone. Moon, he barely runs out with his life intact. And it's still seeming like a pretty decent win here for SMG. Mind you, though, John, they have left the mid-tier 1. But it is down anyway, so who the hell cares?
Yeah, they take the objective, they take the fight. Really great use of a Ravage from Raging. They force so many bodies from TNC onto the Tide without really having control. Like, it's so hard to burst them down with a HUD. You really need the Sonic Wave to just eat through that magic protection because it's pure damage, and it's still on cooldown because of that last engagement onto mid one. So they've kind of got to pick and choose their fights here on TNC. They do at least have the blink now on Play Hard off the back of that, so they've got an access point. They've got a wave starting these fights now with the Tiny. It's got to really show its impact here to ensure TNC kind of gets some momentum back.
Tier 1 mid, though, going to drop TNC, just allowed to take it for free. Who have they moved on? They're going to go on Roger. He does take the DD rune for himself, but it is going to cost him his life. You've got to ask yourself whether it's really worth getting that power rune for the life of the Bane, but I suppose had he not done that, TNC may have been able to rush Roshan. Arfu, though, going to move in onto the Quapper. Play Hard is going to be there with a great avalanche toss. That'll be 1 to go. Moon, he's forced to pop that BKB to run. And now perhaps you really can go Roshan. No Arfu, no BKB on Moon. It never seems like there's been a better time here for TNC.
Yeah, this is the timing. They've had the Deso for a while. They can easily just go in after that fight. No Ravage to come through as well from Raging for at least half a minute, so plenty of time for TNC to kind of try to get that done. But they'll try to be sneaky about it, Mike. Leaving Yoa in alone, going for a Smoker's 3 here.
So much on the line in this game, number one. Obviously, this relegation for TNC is something they really want to avoid, and SMG still looking for that spot for the major that could or could not be happening. We don't know yet, John. Something's happening. Yoet, he'll take the Aegis for himself. Meanwhile, bot lane, Tier 2 tower, the rotators Play Hard. He's out with the smoke, but he has the blink up. Moon has been spotted, and the avalanche toss will be there. Into the Sonic Wave. Moon, though, he's still alive, and now the Fiend's Grip. Roger, he saved the D for now, but Moon, he is still a man on the run, and he is not going to make it. Roger now, he might just be the second sacrifice, and he will be. Xiao Yu to pick up a double.
Yeah, it's just really the effects of these blinks, Mike. Having the blink on Darkseer, having the blink on Tiny makes it so much easier for TNC to find these vulnerable targets, to find that skill speed. With Lina, just instantly burst her and get the control off, because you've got the follow-up from your Quap. You don't have the blink in the TA. Well, actually, you do have the blink in the TA now, so everyone can just jump in. That's 4 out of 5 heroes who have mobility now. Only Febby. No, Febby has. They all have blinks now on TNC, so it becomes really easy to force these fights. Whereas for SMG, Raging doesn't have a blink yet. You don't really have a highly mobile hero with mobility spells. Lina can get pretty fast, but it's not quite the same effect. So I think it's now time for SMG to kind of maybe go back, wait a little bit until they get, say, a Shadow Blade up on Lina. At least allow Moon to sneak around, get an LSA off, and set up for the team to follow through from that. Because in these bigger engagements, TNC with her huge AoE control is just getting a lot more, and they're finding those pickoffs while SMG's kind of being greedy and splitting up. They do have the BKB up and running on mid one, so he can kind of join in, and SMG's going to smoke off of that.
They've also got the Ags up on Raging John. One of my personal favorite Aghanims that you can buy, the AoE Gush. Very, very annoying to deal with throughout these team fights, and just great for overall just split pushing these lanes. As mid lane, Arfu is going to make the jump in. They've got Play Hard to start. Finger committed with the Laguna Blade, but Play Hard, he is still alive. They'll even throw the Fey Grenade in just in case, but Roger in the meantime, he's going to die to Yoe. Still, they'll set up. Onto Xiao Yu they go, and they'll get a second. The SMG still more than happy to fight. They've got the Ravage up on Raging. They want to try and get that committed. Arfu trying to find an angle. Nice gush through. We'll give the vision on Yoe, but he is still able to blink away. So SMG, they can go after that mid-tier 2 tower. Aegis or not on TNC, they do not give a crap. And it seems like they are going to get away with this.
Yeah. Without the Darkseer, their AoE control is really just stuck.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
Well, they've got to try, but that Ravage still very, very scary to go into. Also a DD rune up at top rune spot, and Raging's going to spot that out first. So he'll take it for himself. Still with the smoke, they are rotating down bot where Moon is hanging around, but he seems to notice that something is wrong here. We'll back off into the tree line, and it does seem like TNC's already given up. So the smoke, it's going to amount to nothing. And again, you've still got Ravage, you've got a Shadow Blade up now for Moon. I imagine SMG want to go again. And they do. They've smoked up as 3. Mind you, you don't have the Metamorphosis, but you do at least have the BKB on mid one. So he can at least just try and melee them if he needs to with that BKB charge. They do start to move in. There's a toss up. Who they got? It's going to be Arthur again, but the Ravage is there. Mid one, who are you hitting, sir? It's going to be no one. They need to run right now. It's TNC. They have the upper hand. Baby's moving for more with the Meld Strike Raging. He is dropping scarily low. And with the Scream out, that might be enough. He's on 304 HP right now, John. But he does have the Hood of Defiance, so he should be just fine.
Yeah, Scream of Pain. 375 of the amplification from the Kai Sanj. But as you said, Hood of Defiance should negate a lot of that. So I think Raging should be fine. They could maybe get a couple of right clicks. Shadow Strike's going to be back up. Unfortunate disconnect timing. I guess that should help SMG just a little bit more to get their bearings and pull back. On the side of TNC, do still have their big spells, but there's no one really to catch up. Like if they maybe somehow jump mid one, that could be one place to drop everything, drop the Overgrowth, drop the wall, and Vac, just ensure a kill onto the TB, get going from there. But yeah, looks like TNC, unfortunately, internet issues, but I'll let you into a secret, Mike. I had some internet issues as well. I actually disconnected for a moment there. Which
did you really?
I did. I dropped off. Discord was working. My in-game disconnected. So, you know, it is what it is with the Philippine internet. It's a bit wonky sometimes, Mike.
You've got very good at pretending that you can see what's going on. Thank you, Pithy. We do appreciate the view right now. There's a lovely Tidehunter with an octopus on his head. John, speaking of nice images, I couldn't help but notice, because considering you love NFTs so much, Young God's got the Bored Ape Yacht Club as his in-game profile picture. Have you noticed that, John? Do you like it?
Yes, I pointed it out to you, right? And I had a chat with Young God. He doesn't know what that is. He just thought it looked cool. So he is a right clicker. My boy Young God. And I appreciate it. No. Unfortunate, but
you can't. Yeah. You can't do that though, John. People pay for these things. You can't just right-click an image. You can't right-click an NFT, John. That's not right. I'll have you know Gary's watching, by the way, John. I know Gary's watching. So, Gary, if you want to chime in, mate, you know who you are, Gary. You want to chime in, let John know about how you feel about his opinions of NFTs. You chime in, Gary, no worries. You tweet at us. Let us know. You got to get those iPhones somehow, John. It's not cheap.
that it isn't. That it isn't, Mike. It's still, you know, I loved it when Yopaj tweeted out, majors are canceled. Gary's like, no. There's still Major 2 and Major 3. You got to stay motivated, Yopaj. And I reminded him the motivation's in the iPhone. So, you know, you got to get the iPhone action there, you know, Gary. That's the motivation for Boom. It's the iPhones and Tim's sandwiches every single time. Sandwiches for everyone. It's just like almost every week you see that stuff, you know?
Oh, but those sandwiches sell themselves though, John. They look delicious. As we do get back into the game, Raging Potato, he is going to be fine. They'll be complaining about some ping issues, but hopefully he's rectified those issues now. As SMG, they did end up losing our food, but that's about all they're going to lose here.
Yeah. It's not the biggest kill to lose. SMG still hold on to a very comfy lead here. 3k up, mainly on mid one. Everyone else kind of evenly farmed. Yoa matching Moon's pace. Young God on the tail of Raging, and Xiao Yu kind of in that trio, of course, in the same farming area. I think the next thing now is really how you diversify that, or how you use that farm on TNC, because you've already got the Blinking Xiao Yu. He's going for the BKB next. No sign of the Ags build up, so the Iron Shell charges with the shield, the additional HP's kind of faded off a bit, but the Ag Shard is coming through. So we will get that normal punch, more control in terms of slows, more illusions to kind of dish out. Punching the TB is going to be big here, just to have more replicants out dealing damage, and that could be one big point for TNC as well. Once that's up and running, you kind of have to track where that Darkseer is going to be at, because you can't just jump in and try and set up. Oof.
Oh, the reflection. It did connect onto Febby, so they know exactly where he is, or do they? Febby runs deeper into the tree line, but the gush is going to land. Do they want to commit an Earth Spike? No, it was on cooldown. It was on cooldown, so Arfu could not give it a crack. Still, a 3k net worth advantage here for SMG. TNC well and truly still within this game. Again, a lot riding here on the line for TNCs. They are fighting relegation. Every win they can get right now, and still a very close matchup. It's anyone's game one.
Yeah, it's a lot more even than I think SMG expected. You know, you heard off a lot of confidence there. Said it should be an easy win. It's not looking easy so far. It's very even tempo. It's 17-18. Marginal net worth lead, mainly tied into just one hero on mid one. They are making good work onto the bot tier 2, so that's going to give them a tower advantage. Again, just locking in their control in the bot jungle. Doesn't quite open up their movement to Roche in the same way, but they still hold on to their own outpost anyway. So that they can just kind of force a response here, maybe rotate around to Roshan when the numbers are up, and kind of build off from there when it's up. And yeah, they'll just get started. You've got a lot of damage on TB, full charge metamorphosis. Someone's got to come in here to stop this push.
Tier 3 tower is going to be dropping rather fast. I mean, TNC can't just rely on that living armor. They've got to make the jump in, so play hard. He tries for the toss, but the Fiend's Grip is there. Sonic Wave, Wall Ravage Raging. He's set up perfectly now. Maybe they can turn this fight around, but Young God, he's already found Roger. Yoe, he's going to try and move in onto mid one, the Sunder. It's only on an illusion. It's not a great one, so mid one who have to back off at Febby. He's in with the overgrowth, setting back up onto mid one. They take the TB down. Maybe they can find the TA though, and they'll try to burst down Yoe. The Meld Strike, it's not going to be enough. Young God, oh, he wants to go further. He's not going to find anyone though. So a great Ravage, great overgrowth. In the end, who does it really favor, John?
I think that does favor TNC just slightly. Mid one is a much bigger target than Yoa is on the TA, so in terms of network swing, it is worthwhile for them. They stop the tier 3 push as well, and they can heal it back up with a Treant. So it should be back to maybe half HP by the time SMG might want to consider going back in. And that does help TNC's costs out massively. Do have to say, that start fight is very strange. Playhard immediately blinked in, did not get Avalanche or Toss off, and there was a delay before the grip came off. So it felt like if he did manage to get at least the Avalanche, the Toss back onto mid one, that fight might have been a little bit cleaner for TNC. They still find the target they want. Stave off the push, so I guess in the end you're not really going to be scratching heads there. SMG have to kind of respect that. They've got their own blink up and raging, so it's going to be a lot easier to get those big ravages that we've been seeing. I mean, he's been getting them without it, but I think this allows him to choose that moment to get the big ravage off a lot easier rather than having to wait for TNC to clump up themselves. You can kind of just jump in, look for a couple of isolated heroes, burst them off, and clean up from there. So more tools for SMG to play with. TNC still waiting for that build-up. Yoa is just trying to go straight into the MKB for more damage and potentially going against that evasion that mid one might have down the line. He has kind of held off on his level 10 talent, so he doesn't have that 16% evasion. So right now the MKB build-up is kind of a very preemptive. Like, there's nothing yet giving that evasion out, but again, maybe considering some Haliburts down the line, you will want that up. Still, Roche being started here by TNC. No Ravage, but not too far off here for SMG, so they could kind of contest this if they want to.
They certainly could, John. Ravage is up in 10 seconds, though, so they want to drag it out at least till then. Roshan's still very healthy, so they're going to have plenty of time to wait that one out. TNC, though, obviously very strong right now with Yoe and Young God as they jump in. Avalanche Toss is already out. They've blown up Moon. That's the CEO gone. Finger out, however, play hard. He'll be the second to drop, but Febby, he's out with the overgrowth now. They've got Roger raging. He'll try to kite out as Yoe. He needs to escape now as the buybacks are coming in, but the Ravage is there. But there is no follow-up to the Ravage either. Zafu, he will get a nice Hex off into Xiao Yu. So they'll be able to find a Darkseer. Very messy engagement from these two teams, but it does seem like SMG are going to have first dibs on that Roshan.
They've got Axis in, there's no Ravage counterfight, but there's also no Overgrowth. So a lot of pressure on Playhard to get that blink up and maybe getting the Avalanche Toss to open this up.
Yeah, they're going to try and play hard. That's a great toss out, Moon. He cannot afford to die right now. That would be a dieback, but Febby, he's the one to go down as Roshan. It'll continue. And it does seem like TNC are slowly running out of options for this Roshan number 2. And in the end, mid one and Moon will take the Aegis and Shards respectively. But does Moon really want to keep the Shards?
I'd like to see it, you know. I like the Laguna Blade in the line, and he passes it on. It's on to Roger now. So we've got the Brain Sap AoE, which is huge. And Roger's going to be able to maintain his forward presence and dish some good damage out as well. So we'll see how well TNC can hold up against the Aegis. 7k lead for SMG off the back of that and those buybacks. TNC just not executing clean enough. Really good counterfight from SMG though, although Moon.
Yeah, Moon. No, Toss is not there. Play hard. He tried to dance around that creep, but just was not lucky enough to get the toss off. TNC, that'll be enough for them. They'll back off again. Just get a reset going. 30 minutes in though, there is going to be a 7k net worth advantage to SMG. Because they've still got that Aegis advantage to boot. They did just pick it up. And TNC, again, not out of this game yet, but as time goes on, John, you look at mid one's farm, it is starting to really get out of control, and you can't really forget that you've still got Moon to worry about on the laner. He's going to be dishing out a lot of damage on this hero as the time does drag out.
Yeah, I mean, the two cores of SMG just scale a lot better right now than TNC. I think for TNC, their counterplay potential really relies on that wall. It relies on those replicants, those clones coming out, using that farm, using that damage against them. So there's a lot of pressure on Xiao Yu to get a big use of that. The MKB build-up here for Yo is still a ways off, and there's actually no evasion right now in mid one. The evasion's really on Raging, who does go for the Heaven's Halberd. So you're not getting the counter item pick to go into the TB at the same time. It's still really useful for TA, but one has to wonder whether or not you'd be better off with your own Daedalus, You know, just a little bit more burst damage to deal with some of these heroes, to deal with the squishier backline. That might be more helpful for TNC. We'll see if they kind of change their minds here, but the siege has begun again, although...
Toss up, mid one, already so low, but the Sunder, it's going to make it in time, so he holds on to the Aegis. Just barely here for mid one. Keep in mind, meta is available, but he may wait for the first life to expire before he does go for that metamorphosis. He won't need it for now. They got the racks for free. It's all about rotating into the mid lane now and finding that secondary racks, but they've still got those outer objectives at the top lane they can also choose to deal with. With the Aegis up though, you may as well commit for the mid tier 3.
Yeah, it's a clean option for SMG onto the high ground. They've got the Ravage back up. I want to highlight something here, Mike. Look at mid one's build. Look at his skills. He goes for 1 level in Sunder, 2 points in Reflection. At level 21, went all in on the attributes. Just level 1 Sunder. That's a 120-second cooldown. He's just confident in not dying in these fights.
Oh, absolutely. Raging Ravage from the cliff does land onto 2. Sonic Wave through all of them, but doesn't matter. It looks like Yoe's going to drop. Mid one with the BKB just standing his ground. As Febby is going to try and run on the tree, but he's not going to make it out. In the meantime, Moon's found Zhao Yu on the dark side, and that's going to be another. SMG, just a very clean team fight to go their way. And it's into the mid racks now with this Metamorphosis TB. And again, John, there's just nothing they can do to stop it. Mid one still has the Aegis up.
Yeah, he's still very well protected. A minute and a half in that Aegis. They're going for tier 4s. They know they've got the damage, forcing the buyback out from Xiao Yu, going back to mid. They can't quite go for the Megas with a tier 1 still standing top, but they can just go, yeah. They're feeling confident. They've got the damage on Moon and mid 1. They've got the AC up on the Lina to kind of speed up this process as well. And just the right clicks flying out, it just feels like an eternity for TNC to be back up here to stop this.
I mean, they finally buy back on Yoe. Mid one, though, he's still more than happy to keep going, but the normal punch will be there. So they get the Aegis off the side of SMG. Gotta be 1. How far do you want to go on this Terrorblade without Metamorphosis? It seems like they are done, but Febby, he's going to jump in and lock down mid one. He'll turn around, though, with the Demon Tail. Look at the damage output. Zhao Yu's going to be the second to drop, as now they found Yoe on the TA. Can they lock him down? It doesn't really matter. They'll go after Young God instead on that Queen of Pain. Mid one, Sunder's there again. He just will not die. Not on this Terrorblade, as they ignore the TA. They'll go back in on the Ancient. Mid one, still kiting, juking, and jiving. Young God is going to blink back in, and they will protect the Ancient. It is committing all their buybacks to make this happen. But so far, so good as Play Hard, where he's going to find Roger. And SMG, they're still hanging around, but they are not going to commit any further than they have to.
Man, I just love this from mid one. Like, that, when he sundered, that was still a level 1 sunder, and then he skilled it up after. So it was still another 120-second cooldown. It's just paying off. These fights are spaced out far enough. The burst windows of TNC are spaced far enough that mid one isn't under pressure to kind of swing back in 40 seconds to sunder again. He's just free to kind of greed out here. And off the back of those fights, off the back of that mid racks being taken, SMG has a massive lead now. 21k, they've got 2 cores. They're scaling up massively. On the side of TNC, I mean, the Quap can kind of scale. It's a long way off from hitting those item spikes towards the late game and talent spikes as well. So most of your damage as a big 4 is really on Yoe, and the rest of it's coming out from the control and the area follow-ups you have with your Darkseer and Treant. We haven't seen the big vac wall overgrowths just yet, and I think TNC need to be able to start the fight. They need to be the ones to jump in first, to get the control, to clean up the pesky Vayne, the pesky Lina, and just kind of try to fight into those cores afterwards with a couple of replicas out from the wall. Like, that's your ideal situation. Maybe normal punch playing a big factor there as well. So we'll see if TNC finds that opening, but SMG's been so disciplined to kind of split up, jump in with a tide first, and clean up afterwards.
Baby, he's not going to spawn an Arfu. Yoe, though, he'll get the BKB off. Aeon Disc will be procced. Fingers out. They'll just throw everything as the wall now. Drop at the Ravages there. Yoe's been caught again, but they'll go after Zhao Yu first. Back in onto Yoe. Somehow Arfu survived through all of that, but he does finally drop as Roger now. He'll move forward. Onto the Quap they go. They've even found the TA. Just everybody falling for the side of TNC as Play Hard. He will be left behind. And that'll be a 4-for-1. Is that just GG? I mean, you've got no buybacks. You've only got the Quap.
Yeah, respawns are a bit shorter in the other heroes besides Yoa, so there is maybe a window, but nah. Moon sees the move, goes straight for the Ancient, knows there's no buybacks, and he's just gonna get it done. Taps out,
GG.
TNC forced the call there, and SMG do manage to take that game 1, but it's a lot closer than I think a lot of people expected. I mean, we heard Afu what he said about this matchup going in, very confident, said it would be an easy win. They do find the first win, but I don't think it was that easy, Mike. I think it's a lot closer than either side might have expected. They managed to do really great work in TNC's end to kind of enable Yoa to kind of hit these spikes on Playhard and on Xiao Yu. I think the safe lane co-op didn't quite go the way they wanted to. Laning aggression was there. They were finding a few kills on the Tide, but once certain levels were up, once that Hood of Defiance was up, bursting down the Tide took way too many resources. Way too many ults had to come through, and it just became a matter of scaling there, Mike. 2 big cores versus 1 on Yoa. As the game went on, just harder and harder for TNC.
It certainly was, John. I'm kind of wondering whether TNC were able to put up such a good fight based on those drafts, but I suppose we'll head off to a break, John, and we'll find out what our lovely panel think after that very short break.